Hey guys, welcome back to this particular platform. And as always, I am grateful for each one of you who have taken the time to subscribe, to receive the notifications, to receive messages whenever new messages are released here on this particular platform. As always, we'll start with our verse for the week, which is none other than Hebrews 11:1, and it reads, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen." And so our subject matter for today is surrounding marriage. And so it is none other than expectancy within a kingdom marriage. So I'm not referring to a marriage that does not honor the scriptural principles of a marriage, but that does warrant and reflect one of the scriptural instructives. And so, expectancy within a kingdom marriage, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so, I was given several different key points, and those points are as follows. So, the first one is you can expect to be patient. And a part of you expecting to be patient within a marriage means that you have to consider and incorporate the fact that we all grow and mature differently. Guys grow differently from girls, women grow differently from men. We all mature at different rates. And then cultural factors a lot of times are overlooked as to the maturation, because when you have a cultural upbringing and you consider these things, every culture does things a little bit differently. And so what this means is when you bring the two together and now you have welded them together to become one, you have different areas that you are seasoned in or unseasoned in, that you're structured in or unstructured in. And so you have to be mindful of these things as you go forth and consider the things that our Father in heaven would have you to do within a marriage. I will always say, even if you're taught different things, you should have some type of common ground as to what you want your marriage to look like. And when you define what that looks like, you need to take it back to our Father in heaven and align it against his word. What does he say it should reflect? Not just by the things that you desire, but what does he desire for your marriage to have? Because at the end of the day, he's the one who created it. So why not consider everything surrounding what he has implicated should be existent, or for the matter, should not be existent? And so expect to be patient with your spouse, because we all grow and mature at different rates. We're all taught different things. We all had different upbringings. We had different teachings, even outside of cultural things. No two households are the same. And so consider those things. And then the second point is be patient with your spouse, guys. When you're in marriage, you have to learn to be patient. You have to learn to be kind. You have to learn to be selfless. You have to learn all of these different things that are not in my notes. But you have to be patient. And a part of being patient means that you are not going to understand a lot of the times you why you just do not have the ability to not respond immediately. Because when you have an immediate response and you don't take the time to consider your spouse, now you may be spewing things that you may be doing more harm and more damage with than if you had waited, slept on it, considered it, took it to our Father in prayer, as you should. Because with marriage, it is a three-party dynamic. And no, I'm not talking about an extra person into the marriage. That's not what I'm referring to, so don't even try it. But what I'm referring to is, we know that at the head we have our Father, and then it's the husband and the wife. And so it's three components to a marriage. And so when you have time to consider the things that you're responding to and how he would have you to do it, that requires patience. Sometimes you're not going to be able to give a rebuttal, or sometimes you're going to be attacked in ways that you don't understand, and instead of launching another attack or repaying evil for evil, you're going to turn away that wrath with a gentle answer. And so this is what scripture means by that. When you're filled with a gentle spirit, when you have self-control, it requires you to be patient, and it's going to be a lot of that when you're in a marriage. And so a lot of you are experiencing a season where you're considering marriage, where you may be engaged and things like that, and you're prepping for the phase of the actual marriage to take place. You're in preparation. And so in preparation, I'm going to encourage you to go and to study scripture and see what your role requires, because you need to consider these things before you jump head first in it, because it's not just a cakewalk. It's not peaches and cream. You do need to be prepared. You do need to know certain aspects of who you are going to have some type of we'll just say transition. You're going to have to transition into the person that you know you're supposed to be with in a marriage, because it requires growth. It requires maturation. So that is why we started with the first point. You expect to be patient, because we all grow differently. So when you're being patient with your spouse, this is a part of the first key point. When you expect to be patient, you have to learn to be patient with your spouse. So now that you've expected to be patient, now you have to put that into action. That's what that means. That's why there are two different key points. And so the first one, expect to be patient. We all grow and mature differently. So while you're waiting for that person to mature, you can expect that, because we all grow differently. And then secondly, when you do expect that, actually put that forth and let it be something that you're standing on and something that you're grounding your marriage in. And so the third point is expect differences, as you will not agree with your spouse about every single thing. I can't emphasize that enough. You are not going to agree with your spouse. I don't care how loving, I don't care how kind, I don't care how honest, I don't care how great they are at giving you love. You're not going to agree with everything that your spouse says or does. And so expect there to be differences, guys, but how you choose to handle your differences within your marriage is going to make all of the difference in the longevity, in the health of your marriage, and in just being that portrayal of a kingdom marriage. And so what that means is you will learn who they are. And each season brings about a different version of a person. And so when you were in your 20s or when you first met, they're not going to be the same person 10 years from then, or 20 years, or 30 or 40. And so you have to allow that space for them to mature. Just like we said with point one, you have to expect to be patient as they transition through those different seasons. And then when you get there, expect to not agree on everything, because you're going to learn them in each season. This is why it's important for you to pay attention, to do the work. Just like you would go to a job that you've shown up to for 15 years, if they come in with a new program or require you to learn a new skill, you would be willing to do that. It's no different than your marriage. And so what this means is you have to be able to equip yourself, turn and transition as you need to maneuver through the different seasons with your spouse in learning who they are and learning yourself. Because you're not the same person they married either. It's a two-way street. It works both ways. It's applicable to both parties involved, the husband and the wife. And so you're going to need to expect to have differences with each other and be centered and grounded around that which our Father leads you to and instructs you to do concerning those things. You're not going to be right all the time. Yes, I'm saying it, and as my husband is watching, yes, honey, I know I'm not right all the time. There, I said it. And so, but yeah, I'm not right all the time. And my husband's not right all the time. And so we have to allow each other grace to be able to grow, to learn from the previous episodes and occurrences that may have taken place in previous seasons, because they're not that version of themselves anymore. And so you won't remain the same, and neither will they. And then the last point that ties into expecting the differences is you will disagree. So while it's a difference, meaning they're not the same, there'll be disagreements. There will be disagreements, but you have to remember that in grace, that is something that is merited, that they may not be deserving of. You can expect to have to give this. That is why the title is Expectancy Within a Kingdom Marriage, because you're expected to do these things, scripturally speaking. If you decide that you want to be a kingdom wife or a kingdom husband, you will be required to accept certain things and to give grace. Now, this is not me saying just be a doormat, so don't even play with it. But what I am saying is sometimes there are going to be episodes and occurrences within your marriage that will cause you to disagree with your spouse, and you will need to give them grace. Prepare for that. Expect that, because it will take place. And so that is my message concerning, what the expectation should be when you're looking at entering into a kingdom marriage, or even if you are already married but now you know that you need to do things, or a scriptural way, and you haven't been doing those in the past, because it's never too late to start. And so this is a good starting point. Take these particular subject points, these points off of this subject matter, and make them applicable to every area in your marriage. And as always, guys, I pray that you take this back to our Father in heaven and ask him why you were led here, what in specific he would have you to take from it. And if you need to, save it and watch it with your spouse. Make a list of the things that you guys know you need to work on. Make a list of the things that you would like to see your spouse do better, and communicate with one another, because that's another thing. And I don't have that listed, but you should expect to be able to communicate without being offended. Your spouse wants the best version of you, and you should want to be the best version of yourself for your spouse. And so you can't have that if you never communicate or receive feedback. If you never give the feedback but expect for your spouse to be a wonderful person, then you're not going to get that. That is an unrealistic expectation, guys. So I'm here to tell you that you're living a lie. It's a fantasy. Don't do that. And so expect to communicate. Expect to have to communicate. Expect to receive the criticism. Expect to be able to put it into a term of, we're going to go to our Father in prayer about this for me to be better at doing this as it relates to your marriage, because you do the same thing. Just consider the love and the companionship and all of the beautiful things that flow from the marriage and its bond as your reward, as your paycheck, so to speak, just like you receive when you go and you put in those 40 hours each week for someone else that is going to replace you when you croak over, or if you leave. And then your spouse is here, and they are supposed to be the most important thing underneath our Father in heaven, and you're not doing as much. So take the time to consider those things. And as always, guys, I pray that you take it back to our Father in heaven, and I pray nothing but the best of success in all that you do. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next message. If you feel led to take a look at the different aspects of how I choose to utilize the spiritual gifts that I've been given, please visit the link in my bio. And if you feel led to donate, please visit the link in my bio as well and utilize that donate button on the bottom of the homepage, guys. And as always, I am grateful for each of you. I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care.